So in the first part, we talk about how to build an energy prices, and we talk about how to build a green energy offer. And so you understand that it was about guarantee of origin. So to make a green offer, you need this guarantee of origin. And I told you that, okay, at the first point it seems nice, in fact, from the financial transparency, because if you go to an energy supplier and that you contract with him a green offer, you can say, okay, a part of my money goes to this guarantee of origin, and with this guarantee of origin, the money goes to a wind farm, a PV farm, or whatever. So why not? Why not? So now in this part, we'll have a look about how to price this energy offer. Because as I said at the beginning of the first part, as a residential consumer, when we pay our electricity bill, with the mask is easier, and gas bill, the price is fixed. You don't pay a fluctuating price because, okay, yesterday the market, it was so tough to make the clearing, and so the price was high, and the day after you have a lot of energy in the market, so the price is running down and whatever. It's a fixed price per kilowatt hour. It is like that. And most of the time it's a fixed price during an entire year, and maybe sometimes they just index it, but most of the time it is quite fixed. So how to do that? So we'll talk about this. And so for the first part, if you just have to remember one thing, it is that a green energy offer does not mean low carbon. It just means guarantee of origin. So the goals of this part now is to understand how an energy supplier builds and prices a residential electricity offer. So we will have a look on two ways of doing that. The first way is to buy the energy directly to the producer, and the second way is to buy the energy on the market with a guarantee of origin. These are two different ways of building an energy offer, but they are also two different ways of pricing the energy offer. Remember, we have the producer. They produce electricity or gas. It goes to the grid. So you have the TSO and DSO. They transport and distribute the energy to our houses. And then, as a residential consumer, we can consume the electricity and the gas. Okay. So when I have my electricity bill or my gas bill, I pay around 20% or 30% of the price just for the energy. The other part, 70%, is for taxes and distribution and transportation. So I am not talking about taxes and distribution and transportation. I am only focusing on the energy part. So 20% and 30% of the electricity bill or the gas bill. So for this energy part, what do you have inside of it? So inside of the 20%. You have, of course, energy, but you have also what is named balancing fees, the guarantee of origin, and also a thing that is named capacity. We'll talk about that at the end. So, I am an energy supplier. I can buy the energy on the market, or I can buy it directly to the producer. So imagine I mix it, and then I can sell my energy to the residential consumer. So as an energy supplier, I will have to pay for the energy part, because I have to pay for the energy that I am buying. But I will have some balancing fee. If I want to make a green offer, I need to buy guarantee of origin. And I have also something to pay that is named capacity. So we will see each part of it. So imagine that we are in a situation where we buy the energy on the market. Okay? So I am focusing on the markets, the energy markets. So you have different products on this energy market. You have the calendars, quarters, months, weeks, days products. So you can buy electricity or gas in advance. For instance, 3 years before you will deliver electricity, you can buy electricity. So in 3 years, you will just deliver electricity in 3 years, but you can buy it 3 years before. Or a quarter before, or a month before, or a week before, or a day before. And then you can buy electricity or gas on a day-ahead basis. So we are, for instance, here this morning, and tomorrow I have my consumer that will consume energy, and I would like to buy some energy for them. So I can go to the day-ahead market, or also named sometimes spot market. And now imagine that we are today, and today now my consumer, they are consuming energy in 2 hours, in 3 hours, and can also go to the intraday market and to buy energy just 1 hour before, or 15 minutes before. So you have a lot of possibilities. If you want to go to the market, you can buy energy from 3 years before up to 15 minutes before delivery. So 3 years before up to 15 minutes before delivery. And you have several of different products, and you can mix everything, do whatever you want, optimize, and at the end you have a fixed price. So this is what we will see. So this is a timeline, and as I told you, you can buy electricity or gas 3 years before with what are named calendar products. Sorry. Then you have the quarters product. Then you have the months products, then the weeks products, then the days products, and then you have the day-ahead market, and then the intraday market. So the resulting price of the energy offer will be a kind of mix of everything. Because you can buy calendar, quarter, month, week, day, spot, and intraday, but you buy maybe, imagine you have to deliver 10 megawatt of electricity for a given day. You can buy 1 megawatt 3 years in advance. You can buy 1 megawatt 2 months in advance. You can buy 5 megawatt 3 weeks in advance, and 1 megawatt 1 day in advance, and the last megawatt just the day before. And the resulting price will be a kind of average of the different price, because the price when you buy calendar product, it's not necessarily the same as the month product, as the weekly product, as the day product, as the spot day-ahead product. So these are calendar products, and here you can see that for a given product, so for instance it was the calendar 2020, so this year, but I took this snapshot, it was in 2018. So in 2018, so 2 years before 2020, you could buy calendar product for 2020. And you see that its prices is fluctuating. It is offer and demand. So in addition, for each product, calendar, quarter, month, weekly, day, each of its products, it is fluctuating. So it means that, for instance, if you want to buy energy 3 years before, maybe one day it will be a given price, and the day after it will be another price. So you have also to compose with that. When you are an energy supplier, if you want to buy energy in advance, you have to take into account that the prices of each product are fluctuating. So now, how can we do that? So imagine you have your consumers. You have several types of profiles, what are called residential profiles. Some profiles of consumers, here it is winter, and here is summer. They consume much more during winter than other kind of people. So for instance, these are big houses. Big houses, you have to heat a lot the house. And in comparison, the apartments, which are more small and close to each other, they don't need as much heat than a house. So most of the time during winter they need less heat. So you have different kinds of residential profiles. And so you try to identify among all of your consumers to which class of residential profile they belong to. So imagine you have thousands of residential consumers, and you try to say, okay, this consumer, it is this class, these other two, this class, this class, this class. So you have several classes, theoretical classes, and you try to stick with them. And then you have a look on the residential profile, and you say, okay, now I need to buy the energy so that they can consume this amount during winter, this amount during summer. And this is how an energy supplier will build and buy the energy. He will have a look on all its consumers, identify the class, and say, okay, I have 1,000 of this class, 2,000 of this class, 3,000 of this class. I know this class, they consume like this. So, and it is an estimation, of course, but it's quite a good estimation. And now I can buy the amount of energy for each class, given the number of customers by class. Okay, so now let's take an example. I took one class as example. I think I took the blue one here. So the blue one is for a small consumer, which most of the time these are people that have a small apartment. So they don't need a lot of heat. Most of the time they use a lot of energy for just for lighting, smartphone, whatever, and a little bit for heating, but not that much. So that's why during winter you see you don't have a lot of difference between summer and winter. So let's focus on the blue profile one, and the methodology is the same for every profile. So here's the profile, it's just, I just zoom it. And so you have an entire year, so winter, summer, and here at each time you see some spikes. And here in fact you have the week. And in fact, during the weekend, most of the time, you consume a little bit less. And so one way of doing it as an energy supplier is to say, okay, I have this profile. So let's say I have 10,000 of consumer like that have the same profile. Now I need to buy energy for them. Because if I don't buy energy, I will have a fine. So I will try to buy a part of the energy a year before. So I will try to buy a calendar product. But when you buy a calendar product, so you are 2 years before, you buy energy, it is a constant amount of energy that you will have for 1 year. So you go to the market, you say I buy a calendar product, and you say I want one calendar product, and the market says okay, no problem. So you buy it, and then you will have energy for 1 year, a constant amount of energy for 1 year. So for instance, 1 megawatt. You will have 1 megawatt. So 1 megawatt each hour for 1 year. If you buy a calendar product, it is 1 megawatt each hour for 1 year. If you buy 2 calendar, you say I want 2, you will have 2 megawatt per hour each hour of the year. It's like that. So let's say I buy, I would like to know how much of this calendar product I would like to buy. You look at the profile and you say, one way of doing it is just, I take the average. I make the average of my profile over the year, and I have this line. This is the average. And you say, okay, this is the amount of calendar product that I would like to buy. Because I took the average, and you go to the market and you say, okay, I want this amount of calendar product. So it means that imagine now you just stop and you don't buy anything else. So then the year pass, and then you go to the year of the delivery. So you will have enough energy there, but during winter you will lack this amount of energy, and during summer you will have too much energy. But you cover this amount of energy. Okay, so you have 2 years in advance, you do that. So now what can you do? It is to buy this amount of additional energy, and maybe to sell this part. So what you can do is to buy quarter product, sorry. So the quarter product, it is the same logic that for calendar product. If you buy for example, quarter one product, you will have 1 megawatt each hour of the first quarter of the year. If you buy the quarter 4, you will have 1 megawatt each hour of the fourth quarter of the year. So what you can do, imagine you already bought this calendar, so you need to buy energy there and to sell it there. You go to buy some quarters and you say, okay, I try to buy this additional of energy and I sell this part. I sell this part of the calendar product for the quarter 2, quarter 3, but I buy energy for quarter 4 and quarter 1. And here you see that you still lack here this part of energy, but here now you have enough, here a little bit too much, here you're okay, and here you lack this part. Okay, so what you can do now, you can go to the spot market and say, okay,
here I like this part, I buy energy each day for this part, and here I have too much, I sell it, I buy, I sell, and so on and so on. So when you go to the market, and we come back to the 13, you look at your profile, and the idea is to try to rebuild the consumption profile by using energy products. This is a way of doing it, in fact. This is a consumption profile, and you are trying to add some product. It's like Tetris. Huh? You are trying to buy some product to match the consumption profile to some product profile from the market. And so at the end, this is what we are trying to do by buying product. And you can do it for each residential profile. Maybe you cannot see the numbers, so I don't know if I can zoom. I will try. Maybe like that. Okay. So for instance, it is an example where I apply this strategy. So for a given profile, it was for the year 2019. I buy some calendar 19 product. It was the price of this calendar product. Then I try to buy different quarter product. You see that they have different prices. And most of the time, the first quarter and the last quarter of the year, they have much more higher prices, because during winter the energy most of the time is more expensive than during summer, because we need more energy in winter in northern European countries because we have to heat. And then I buy some difference on the spot. And now here are for the different profiles. So they are 4 different profiles of consumption. I buy some energy calendar for each profile, then quarter, then spot, and these are some fees, but we don't care. And you see that at the end I have different prices per energy profile that are a mix of the calendar, quarter, and spot profile. And these profile, this one and this one, they are residential profile that consume more. This is why here the resulting price is higher than these two. But so just to say that if you have to remember one thing, you have an energy supplier, you have different consumption profile, and you try, when you go to the market, to match the consumption profile to financial profile to supply them. And you try to buy at the best price the energy to match the consumption profile. Do you have any question about this part? I didn't tell anything about guarantee of origin here. I am just talking about the energy part. How to price the energy part. Then we'll talk about it later about guarantee of origin. So you go to the market and you have several products from calendar to day ahead and intraday, and you try to buy in advance to match the consumption profile, and you try to buy at the best price. So maybe someday you will not buy because the prices are too high, and so you say, okay, I will wait for 1 week because I know that in 1 week maybe nuclear power plant will come back at the grid, so the price will decrease and so on. So it is a kind of optimization strategy to try to buy at the best price different financial products to make the best final price for your consumer. But at the end you have a fixed price. That is in fact a kind of mix of every financial product that you bought. Now if you go directly to the producer, so we talk about how to price an energy offer if you buy it on the market, if you buy in the market. But now if you go directly to the producer and you bypass the market, it's a little bit easier to do, because for instance here it is a wind farm, so in blue it is the wind during the year. So you can see that it's kind of a random production, but it's like that, the wind farm. And here in red you have the spot price of the day market. So you go to the producer and you say, okay, I am interested in buying your production. I would like to buy all your production of the next year. And the producer is saying, okay, great, For me, it's nice because like that I don't have to sell to the market at a price that I don't know what it will be. So, okay, I am okay to sell you my entire production for the next year. And now, what is the price? Because you see, it's fluctuating a lot. One thing that you can do is to say, I propose you, me, I am an energy supplier, I propose to the producer, okay, I will buy your production at the spot price. So I don't know it because it will be next year, but you say, okay, I buy all your production at the spot price. So what will be the resulting price? It will be a kind of sum for each hour of the next year of the productions times the spot price. But at the end, over a year, it will provide you a fixed price. So for instance, 48 euro per megawatt hour, here with the spot price of 2017 for this production. It is something like that. So this is one way of doing that, and you bypass completely the market. Or you can say to the producer, okay, I can guarantee you a price, because he could tell, yes, but if the market is too low, it's not good for me. So you can say, okay, if the spot price is too much fluctuating, I can guarantee you a fixed price, 48, even if the spot is between 40 and 48. I don't care. So then it is a negotiation with the producer to set up a price. So there are different ways of doing, but this is one way of doing it. But it's much more easier than going to the market, because the market you have several products that you are trying to optimize. Here you just have the producer, you say, okay, I buy your production and we have to match a price. That's all. Okay. So we talk about the energy part, how to price the energy part. So if you go to the market or if you go directly to the producer. Now we have the balancing fees. So we talk about the energy part, now we are talking about the balancing fees. What are the balancing fees? It is related to the fact that an energy supplier is a balancing responsible party. So the energy supplier buy energy on the market or to a producer to supply consumers. And he is a balancing responsible party. It means that he has to supply its consumers. You could say, okay, of course, I have a contract with him, so he has to supply me. Yes, he has to supply you. But it's not easy, because he doesn't know in advance what you will consume the next day, or in 1 month, or in 1 year. So he will make errors. He will try in advance to estimate and to forecast your consumption. Of course, he will try to buy in advance the right amount of energy, but he is not an oracle, so he will make errors. So on the day will arrive, and there will be some error between the amount of energy the energy supplier bought on the market or to the producer, and the reality of the consumer that consumes the amount of energy. So the TSO will say, there are some errors. You energy supplier, you bought this amount of energy, you deliver this amount of energy, but your consumer, they consume more or less, depends, more or less. So they will have to pay for that. This is what we name balancing fees. So the balancing cost to try to match the consumption and the production. And you have 3 kinds of balancing fees. The first one is the forecast error for production. So I am an energy supplier, and I buy some energy to a producer. But I don't know in advance its production. So I try to forecast the production to estimate how much of energy I could have for my consumers. But I will make error. These are the forecast errors for production. Then you have the forecast errors for consumption. On the other part, I have consumers. I will try to forecast the consumption, but I will make error. So it will have a cost for me. And finally, you have another kind of balancing cost. It is that the production profile is not equal to the consumption profile. So even if I am an oracle, so imagine I am an oracle, I am God, so I know exactly in advance how much of production I will have, and I know exactly in advance how much of consumption I will have. So it's perfect. You could say, okay, you know exactly how much of production, how much of consumption. Yeah, but it doesn't match, because my wind farm doesn't produce the exact amount of energy per hour that my consumer are consuming energy. So it doesn't match. So I will need to try to adjust in a way my consumption and my production. But this has a cost, because if my wind farm doesn't produce the right amount of energy per hour of my consumers, I will need maybe sometime to buy another energy on the market or to sell the excess of energy or whatever, so it will have a cost. This is the last balancing cost. So let's have a look. So the balancing things. So here you have in red the wind farm, and in blue you have the consumption. So you see that sometimes you have much more production than consumption, and some other time you have much less production than consumption. So here, for instance, you need to buy this amount of energy, and here, for instance, you need to sell this amount of energy. So it has a cost. So how can you estimate this cost? One way of doing it is you take the consumption, you take the production, you make the difference, and you can estimate that I will try to buy and to sell the amount, the excess energy to the spot market, for instance, and to buy what I like of energy to the spot market. And so you can estimate this cost like this. You make the difference, you multiply by the spot price, you integrate over an entire year until it provide you a fixed cost. And so here I have done that for a wind farm and a residential profile, and it is 0.24 euro per megawatt. So I know for these profiles of wind farm and consumption profile that it will cost me this additional cost to match production consumption. So when I will bid, I will try to price my energy offer, I will take that into account and I will add it to the energy part. Because if I don't add it, I will lose money. So this is the cost. Then you have the balancing fee for the error of forecast for production. It's the same principle. So you try to forecast the production. This is the forecast of production, PP, and here you have the true realization of the production. So one way of assessing this price is to say, if I have too much production, so I try to forecast the production for next day, for instance. I make a forecast, PP. But in reality, I will have a production, and sometimes I will have a forecast that is higher than the true realization, and some other time I will have a forecast that is lower than the true realization. So it means that for the hours where the forecast is higher than the realization, I will have, in fact, less energy than expected, because I forecasted this amount of energy, but in reality I have this amount of energy. So it means that I like this part, because I forecast this part. So it means that I need to buy this amount of energy to the market. And on the opposite, if I forecast this part, but in reality I have this amount of energy, I am lucky, in fact, because I have more energy than expected. But I am not so lucky, in fact, because I have too much energy. And I don't know what to do with this energy, because my consumer, they need this part. So I am like, okay, I have too much energy, but what do I do with this energy? So I need to sell this energy. At some time, it will cost me to sell this energy. So you can estimate that by taking the spot price and the unbalanced price. And with this formula, you can estimate this forecast error cost. And so for wind power, hydraulic power, solar power, you don't have the same cost, because it is not the same to predict wind power than hydraulic power or solar power. It is much more easier to forecast hydraulic production of a river, for instance, than wind power or solar power. Solar power, it has a bell curve like that, and sometimes you have some clouds, so it's not perfectly a bell curve, but most of the time it has the same curve. Wind is much more random. So this is why the wind power has the highest forecast error cost, because it is the one, it is very difficult to forecast wind production. So you will make more errors, and most of the time you will have to compensate for this error and to pay for it. So these are some costs. And so they are between, for instance, for wind between 0.7 and 2 euro per megawatt. And for hydraulic, this amount and this amount. So these are some costs that, as an energy supplier, I have to take into account when I price my energy offer. And so the last one is the forecast error for consumption. So I have my consumption profile, but they are theoretical consumption profile. In reality, the consumption is a little bit different. And it is the same principle. I try to forecast my consumption. Okay, I have a forecast, but in reality, maybe I will have this consumption. Or I will have this consumption. So I will have to compensate for this forecast error, and I will have to pay for it. And so I will have a cost. And most of the time, we can estimate that the cost for a residential consumption is 0.7 euro per megawatt. In fact, you don't care about the formula, just bear in mind that you have to make forecasts for production, consumption, and at the end, that your forecast is not perfect, and you will have to pay for the difference between the reality and the forecast. But the better is your forecast, the less are the smaller are your costs. So here, an energy supplier, it can optimize its revenue by making the best forecast possible, the most accurate forecast. But in reality, it's difficult to do that. So we have seen how to price the energy part for the market, or the energy part if we go directly to a producer. We have seen that we have also balancing fees that will add up to the energy part. And now we have the famous guarantee of origin. So now if I would like to make a green offer, I need to buy the guarantee of origin. So I already paid for the energy part, I already paid for the balancing fees, now I buy guarantee of origin. So to have some figures, when you buy energy on the market, on average, it will be 45 euro per megawatt hour. And you have energy. So with 45 euro per megawatt hour, it's okay, you have your energy. And then the balancing fee, you have seen it's like 2 or 3 euros. So you have 45 euro per megawatt hour, then you add 3 and 4 euro per megawatt hour for the balancing fee. So you see it's 10% of the energy. And now we have the guarantee of origin, and most of the time the price of a guarantee of origin is like between 0.5 and 2 euro per megawatt. So 45, 2 and 3 balancing fee, and maybe 1 or 2 for the guarantee of origin. So you can see that the guarantee of origin is not so expensive in comparison with the energy part, in fact. So and it can be a little bit strange, because if this guarantee of origin is supposed to help financially some wind farm or some PV farm or hydraulic power plant, you could have thought that the price would be much more higher. Because imagine you are a wind producer, and then you sell your energy maybe 45 euro per megawatt hour, so you make 35 euro per megawatt hour, and then you can sell also the guarantee of origin for 1 euro. So okay, you take it because it's 46 now, 45 plus 1, but at the end it's just 1 plus 45, so it's not a lot of money for this guarantee of origin. And this is a little bit strange, because I think from my point of view, if this mechanism of guarantee of origin would be supposed to help renewable energy, from my point of view, the price of the guarantee of origin should be much more higher to really help the wind farm or PV farm. But it is like this. Right now, the guarantee of origin is not so expensive, in fact. And this is why you have so many green offers, because you just buy the energy. That is the most expensive part, in fact. And then for 1 euro, 2 euro per megawatt hour, you can make it green. So, but it's like that. So you go to a market, the market of guarantee of origin. You buy the guarantee of origin, you add it to the energy for 1 or 2 euro, and it's okay. You have a green. So 45 euro per megawatt hour of energy, 3 or 4 for the balancing cost, 1 or 2 for the guarantee of origin. We are almost up to 50 euro per megawatt hour. So 50 euro per megawatt hour, it is 5 cents of euro per kilowatt hour. And if you have a look at your electricity bill, most of the time in Belgium we pay around 25 cents. 25 cents, so 25 cents per kilowatt hour, it is 250 euro per megawatt hour. So 50 euro per megawatt hour, energy part. 250 euro per megawatt hour, it is what you pay. So you see that the energy is not so much into the resulting cost, but it is like that. So 50 euro per megawatt hour, 250. Okay. So the last cost is related to what is named capacity. I will try to explain you what it is. So I talk about how to price energy, how to price the balancing cost, how to price the green certificates or guarantee of origin, and now we have the capacity. A lot of things. Huh? So you have the producer. They produce energy. Nuclear plant, coal plant, gas plant, renewable plant. And you have the consumer, us. We consume energy. But the production, most of the time, doesn't match the consumption. It's like that. We are human, and when we wake up in the morning, we use energy, and when we are at night, we sleep, so we use less energy than during the day. It's like that. And in the morning, you have the first peak of consumption because everybody wake up approximately at the same time, approximately. But so you have a peak of consumption around 7 a.m. from 7 a.m. up to 9 a.m. Then it's going a little bit lower, and then around lunchtime you have another peak of consumption because it's like that. Most of humans, they eat at lunchtime. Some people they eat during night, but most of humans they eat at lunchtime. And then you have the afternoon, less consumption, and then you have the evening peak because it's like that. Everybody come from work at the same time, approximately, and then during night it is decreasing. And so you have this big peak of consumption in the morning, then it's a little bit decreasing, then lunchtime, then it's a little bit decreasing, then evening time, and then it is decreasing during the night. And during winter, these spikes are much more higher due to the heat. You heat more when you wake up than when you are not there during the day or at night. So you have big peaks of consumption in the morning and evening during winter. So these are the consumption profile. But on the other part, the production, the wind is there when it is there. The sun is there when it is there. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. It doesn't follow the consumption. There is not a God that says, okay, wind, now because he woke up in the morning. He wants his coffee right now, so wind, please. It doesn't work. It will be great, but it doesn't work like that. So you have your generation profile, and you have your consumption profile. And what is capacity? So the regulator, not the regulator, but the TSO, Elia in Belgium, is responsible at the country level to match the entire consumption to the entire production. Production must be equal to consumption at the country level. If it is not equal, you have a blackout. So it's a problem if you have a blackout. So Elia, at all times, is responsible to match production to consumption. Okay, so how it does that? He makes sure that every time there is enough production to match the consumption. But how to make sure there is enough production? Because imagine you have only wind farm. You are in a country where you have 100% of production that comes from wind farm. How to be sure that at all times the production matches the consumption? It's complicated because you cannot choose when the wind is there and when it is not there. So one way of doing it is to say, okay, I can act on the consumption part, so I will tell people, right now, I am sorry, you don't have wind, I cut the power. But of course we don't do that because it would be complicated for people to understand that we cannot consume when we want. Maybe one day we will have something like that, but right now it is not something like that. Right now, the consumer, he wants to consume, we say, okay, he wants to consume, so we will try to match the production. We don't touch your consumption, we'll try to match the production. So, I come back to example, we have only wind farm, but we cannot act on the consumption, but we have no wind. So how can we do it? We have no wind. Okay. So what we can do is to add something else. Okay, so when we will have no wind, we add, for instance, a gas plant. Because with the gas plant, when we have no wind, we can make it start really fast. So when we have no wind, the gas plant is there, it starts running, it produces electricity, and it's okay, it matches the consumption. And when the wind will come back, we just shut down the gas plant. But it's okay, so like that we have renewable, but we have also gas plant. But it is a very easy example. In fact, in reality, for instance, in Belgium, we have nuclear power plant 40% of the time, we have gas plant, and we have renewable. So what is this mechanism? It is, in fact, to make the system profitable for everybody, because you have to pay for these gas plants that are not running all the time, because most of the time they don't run, they are just there. And when we don't have enough, for instance, renewable energy, they will stop. But you have to pay for it. Because maybe it's not profitable for them to be there just only a few hours per year. They will say, okay, I cannot just sell 10 hours of my production during the year. For me, it's not profitable, so I don't build a gas plant. So the TSO will say, okay, don't worry, I will help you with what is called capacity. It's a way to help you financially. So I will say, okay, I will go to the energy supplier, and I will estimate for them, based on their consumption profile. I will have a look at their consumption profile. I will say, you have these clients, and most of the time they have peak there of consumption. So you need to pay for that. You will have to pay for this peak of consumption. So the TSO say to the energy supplier, given your consumption curves, the peaks, the TSO estimates the capacity needed. So we have to pay for capacity. You pay a certain amount of price. And this money goes to the TSO. And then the TSO will estimate for some producer. They will say, you're a gas plant. You are very flexible as a gas plant producer. So I will pay for you. I will take this money and give it to you. And like that, when we will need your production, it will be profitable for you. It's a way of making the sustainable profitable for everybody. And for the renewable producer, as they cannot choose when the wind is there or the sun is there, they don't have this capacity, because this capacity relies on the fact that you can be there when we want you to be there. So it's a kind of reward, in fact. It's a reward for gas plant or nuclear power plant or coal plant that are really, most of the time it is gas plant, because the gas plants are much more faster than nuclear or coal plant. But it is a kind of reward, a financial reward, to make them profitable, to be there when we don't have enough energy. So the energy supplier have to pay for that. So you don't know it, but in fact in your electricity bill you pay a certain amount of energy for that, to help the system to be balanced. Okay, so if I try to sum up everything, what you have to bear in mind is that the energy part of the electricity bill or gas bill is only 1/3 of the total price. So remember, you pay around 25 cents euro per kilowatt of electricity. But the energy, what you pay for energy is only 1/3 of that, 5-6 cents, 5 or 6 cents. And for this 1/3, you have the energy that is 80% of everything. And then you have balancing fee, guarantee of origin, and capacity. And they represent 20% of 1/3, something like that. But just remember that. When you pay your electricity bill, most of everything goes for taxes, for distribution, transportation. Then you have energy and some additional fee. And the energy supplier is only acting on this part. And he's trying to optimize everything to have the smallest cost here to make a small profit. Maybe they can have a short break of 10 minutes. I don't know
think we can sign Nathan for this great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, and if you have any question after that, you can send me an email, or you have the video.
Okay, the slides will be online, are already online, and the video is